Hello YouTube and welcome back to my playthrough of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. So we're going to continue from where we left off here. Let's start Gina's trial now. Let's get to the bottom of this. Part 1, the Old Bailey, the adventure of the unspeakable story. So it's a trial now. So we've done all our investigations. We have all the evidence, at least it seems like. When I woke the following morning, Susato-san was already gone. Outside the window, the rain came down in sheets. And so began an even longer day than the last, one that I would remember for the rest of my days. 17th April, 9:32 a.m. The Old Bailey. Defendant's antechamber. Good morning, Gina. I'm determined to prove your innocence today. I'm sure we can do it. So where's your friend then? Sorry? You know, in the fancy dress. Susato, or whatever you say it, I don't know. Miss Susato had to leave early this morning. She was already gone by the time I woke up. You alright with that, are you? Forget about me if you like. Go and see her off. It's fine. It's not as though Miss Susato and I won't meet again one day. Even so. But you, Gina, you only get one chance. This trial today is all we have. Good morning, you two. How are you feeling, Ginny? Did you manage to sleep? Iris, what are you doing, ear? What do you mean? When a friend is in need, we show our support. Isn't that right, Waggy? Waggy. Great way to show your support, kitty. Let him have a nose around. What harm can it do? Oh, that reminds me. I bought a paper on the way here. Now, would you like the good news or the bad news? What do you say, Runo? Ginny? Oh, well, I think I'd rather get the bad news out of the way first. Nah, always take the good news first. You might not live to hear the bad. Yes, that question always gives away people's personalities. Let's not go there. Alright then, I'll give you the bad news first. A record amount of rain has fallen this morning, and carriages all over the capital are struggling to move. Huh? The bad news was a weather report? So I hope that Susie made her train to Dover, and that the train isn't delayed on its way to the port. Gosh, yes. Alright then, so what's the good news? Well, the rain is forecast to subside this afternoon. So even if the train is delayed, it should be able to make up the time later. Well, that is good news, isn't it? I couldn't give a monkey's, really. If only all good news canceled out the bad. And look, this trial has made headlines too. Pawnbroker perishes in picked purse plunder, see? Tisk, how would you like that? Well, let them say what they want, see if I care. I can't, because you're convinced covering your face. Don't worry, Runo will show everyone that this headline is nonsense. I will. And then in tomorrow's paper, the headlines will be... Discharged diver is dauntless do-gooder. Isn't that right, Runo? Oh, yes, let's hope so. Of course they will. I have absolute faith in you. How's that? I was trying to sound like Susie. Did it work? It's like she was still here. This morning's paper, purchased by Iris, Gina's case features prominently. Wonder what kind of evidence we could use in the trial for that. Good luck then, Runo. I'll do what I can. Obviously, I don't know the law like Susie does, but still. I'll be on your side the whole time, giving you moral support and encouragement. Well, I don't think you can bring that into the courtroom. I'm not sure that big thing is as comforting as you think it is, to be honest, but... Thank you, Iris. That's very kind of you. Oh yeah, Iris. Yes, Ginny? Sorry, guys. It's a little sick. Well, I was wondering is all about Sholmes. Did they fix him up all right? Yes. The operation was a great success. But Hurley still hasn't come around yet. Eh? I've asked a friend of mine at Scotland Yard. to send a telegram as soon as he wakes up. I'm sure Gregson will let us know the moment there's news. So, Herlock Sholmes is pretending to sleep, apparently, because, again, remember, we saw Susato talking to him last night, so there's gotta be something here. No, Susato-san and no Mr. Sholmes. It's all down to me today, to prove that Gina is innocent of this crime. Miss Gina Lestrade, counsel for the defense. The trial is about to begin. Please make your way into the courtroom. I wonder who the prosecutor is gonna be. Is it gonna be Barrick again? It's time, then. Yes, let's go, Gina, Iris. Lead the way, Runo. Poor Gina. She's trying to put on a brave face, but I can tell she's worried and scared. I have to believe in her from start to finish. That's the weapon that will secure our victory here. If I learned anything from my great friend, it's that... 17th April, 10 a.m. The Old Bailey courtroom. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. The trial shall determine the guilt or innocence of Miss Gina Lestrade. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is ready, so we're going up against Van Ziex again. The defense is ready. Lord Van Ziex, my lord. Remind me, how many years ago was it that you withdrew from the public prosecution service? It was 5 years. It was some 5 years ago, my lord. Yep, remembered. Yes, and then 2 months ago you resurfaced somewhat unexpectedly, and here you are again today. Are there some circumstances in which the court should be aware that have led to this erratic behavior? In what might one describe as your former life 5 years past, you dealt exclusively matters concerned with the highest echelons of society and government. Really? Yet today, you chose to try a simple case of burglary and murder. I confess I find it more than a little befuddling, counsel. There are two types of person I cannot abide. Firstly, those wealthy scoundrels who hide behind a mask of philanthropy to cheat the public at large. He means Mr. McGilded, who you defended against the Reaper 2 months ago. Yes, I just about managed to work that out, thank you. Magnus McGilded. If I know what a monster he was, I never would have defended him. And secondly, even more loathsome, those willy scoundrels who masquerade as allies only to effect total betrayal in the final hour. In other words, the confidence tricksters from those tiny islands in the Far East, the Nipponese. But he's referring to Ryu. Wow. Did he really just say that? He means you now, Runo. I actually managed to work that out too. Thank you, Iris. Total betrayal? What are you talking about? That torrid look of hatred in Lord Van Ziek's eyes. Was that directed solely at me, or was he talking about all Japanese people? An alarmingly scathing explanation, Lord Van Zieks. Still, the judiciary welcomes the return of the so-called Reaper of the Bailey, feared by all London's malefactors. Your lordship is too kind. Now, jurors, the 6 of you have been selected at random to represent the will of the people in this trial. Are you ready to hear the evidence placed before you and determine the guilt or innocence of the defendant? Wait a second. Is that Bolshevik rebel all the way on the right side? I think that's him. And wait, who else do we have here? That's Mr. Geradip. And then we have the maid also. Or Bolshevik, I should say. That was his. He was in this game he's referred to as Bolshevik, but it's a reference to the Bolsheviks. Because the Bolsheviks were actually a faction in Russia around this time, even before they came to power. And so that guy looks a lot like that rebel that fled Russia, that guy all the way on the right side there. Former lieutenant in the British Army here, don't you know chaps like me were born ready? Well, Mr. Geradip is a juror now, what a coincidence. Clean crockery, clean cutlery, and clear conscience. His lordship's motto is very appropriate here, I think. Everything will be stereoscopic in the future. Absolutely, absolutely everything, and I'm ready for it. I don't understand it. I can't have left it in there. It's not possible, but could I have? Women indispensable in society, stop. Female-centric future awaits, stop. You know what she's doing right there? It's a telegram. Good day, I am visiting London for sightseeing. I would like to take the bus to Crystal Tower, please. This guy is a fugitive. Is something wrong, Runo? Oh, not exactly. It's just... I'm fairly sure I recognize these jurors. Almost all of them, in fact. Really? Funny coincidences like that do happen from time to time, don't they? But it is quite strange. The jurors are chosen at random from London's 6 million inhabitants, you know. So I've been led to believe, but something tells me I'm being duped. Yeah, maybe it's not a coincidence that we keep seeing the same jurors. Very well, now, Lord Van Ziex. The court calls upon the prosecution to introduce the facts of the case. As you wish, my lord. Allow me to begin with a word of warning to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury. In short, there has never been more self-evident case of cold-blooded murder. The victim, Mr. Pop Windebank, proprietor of a pawn shop on Baker Street, was shot from behind and died instantly. The prosecution presents a photographic print of the crime scene. As the court will observe, there is a single bullet wound just below the gentleman's left shoulder. The evidence suggests the bullet pierced the man's heart, resulting in near-instant death. Moving on to the findings of Scotland Yard's coroner. His report states that the bullet entered the body on a rising diagonal trajectory. And what's that supposed to tell us? It means the victim was likely shot by someone significantly shorter in height than himself. Someone like the accused, you might say. Remember, though, that one of the shadowy figures that we saw was kind of short, too. Oh. The prosecution wishes to present the autopsy report and crime scene photograph as evidence, my lord. Indeed, the court accepts. Hand them to the bailiff, please. A report prepared by Scotland Yard coroner that confirms instant death due to the single bullet wound from the back. There are no other signs of trauma. Photograph of the victim found murdered in the storeroom, which shows a single bullet wound in the man's back. The crime scene photograph has been entered into court record. I now ask the court to turn its attention to this plan of the establishment where the incident occurred. The proprietor was found in the storeroom where he kept articles pawned to him. A windowless room with a single point of entry, a door to the main shop that was found locked. In the sealed chamber, there were only 2 persons present. The victim, Mr. Windebank, and the accused. It may further interest the court to know when the accused was discovered at the scene. She had in her hand the gun used to fire the fatal bullet. Well, that's then, isn't it? Nothing more to say. Isn't that grubby little girl a pickpocket anyway? She's one of those filthy drabs that live in the slums in the East End. Oh well, it was only a matter of time before she got blood on her hands then. Wow, these people are really judgmental. We can't jump to conclusions here. We mustn't assume her guilt because of what she has to do to survive. Oh, great, he's drinking the wine again. My learned Nipponese friend, it is you who mustn't jump to conclusions. The prosecution has barely begun presenting its case. Conveniently, this appalling act of murder did not go unobserved. There were witnesses. Oh yeah, who are you gonna bring in as witnesses? The 2 guys who shot Herlock Sholmes? After their testimony, this girl's true nature will be exposed. Pitiful pick-purse or cold-hearted killer. Here's to establishing the truth. The court will take the floor pan and firearm into evidence. Hand them to the bailiff, please, Lord Van Ziex. At once, my lord. A plan of Windebank Pawnbroker to scene of the crime. It shows the relative positions of the main shop and the rear storeroom. Windibank's gun. A gun belonging to the victim, Mr. Windibank, that Gina was holding when she was found unconscious. There are signs of a single discharge. This isn't good. I feel like the mood in here has turned very gloomy all of a sudden, Runo. I think that's because it has. Oh, he's got the cape off. Let us begin. Now it's on. Bring forth the witnesses to the foul murder of Mr. Pop Windibank on 16th of April. So apparently these are apparently the two guys who shot, Herlock. Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court. Names, Nash Skulkin. Occupation is baddie, professional baddie? What kind of occupation is that? Name's Ringo Skulkin. Occupation's the same as I'm. Tobias Gregson, Scotland Yard Inspector. That's right, we're what they call the three Skulkin brothers? Look at Gregson, he's just looking at them like, what the hell are you looking at me like that for? What are you looking at me like that for? Oh, don't lump me in with you lot. Gore blimey, that's cold. Don't you know what we're going through? It's our older bruv. Lost contact with him we have. So we're scouring every shady corner of the capital. And then last night we come across you, the very spit of the bloke. Ain't that right, Ringo? E is Nash. E is the very spit of him. So we decided there and then what we was gonna do, we was gonna call ya. Big bruv Sulky? Come on, leave it out, you two. Sulky Skulking, and that's before he runs out of chips. Well then, Inspector Sulky Gregson. Begging your pardon, my lord, but the name's Tobias. What I would like to know, Inspector, is what you are doing in the witness stand. The Skulking brothers are currently under arrest, my lord, once on suspicion of theft. Thieves are they, these three? No, not three. No, my lord, begging your pardon, but please don't lump me in with this lot. 2 nights ago, these two brothers illegally entered an establishment with intent to burgle. And in the course of their nefarious activities, they became embroiled in a far more sinister crime. By Jove, you mean to say, what an extraordinary coincidence. It's not a coincidence. In law enforcement, there's really no such thing as coincidence. I mean, they are possible, but there's really no such thing as coincidences. Things, you know, things just don't just happen like that. There's a reason for it. Indeed, my lord, while attempting to burglarize a pawnbroker, they witnessed his proprietor's murder. And they shot Herlock Sholmes. Order, order. The various trespasses of these brothers is not the subject of today's proceedings. What about Herlock Sholmes? He got shot. Okay, you can't... Now you see, these... Barrick has to have more evidence than this, because I'm going to tell you right now that if a prosecutor brought these two guys into like court and they were burglarizing the pawn shop at the exact same time the murder happened in the back, these are unreliable witnesses because they came to the scene to rob it, or I should say burglarize, because robberies when there's... Well, it could have been a robbery if they confronted Windibank, but still, they're criminals. They were burglarizing the scene, so they're unreliable witnesses. Though they will naturally face trial in the very near future. With your lordship's permission, I'd like to remain in the stand to keep these gents on the straight and narrow. Of course, Inspector. Skeptical as I am about the caliber of these witnesses, I will permit them to take the stand. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin, you will now testify before the court. Describe the events of the night in question, and what exactly you saw. Happy to. Cause a Skulkin's never Skulkin. Get out of it. Here we go, witness testimony. Wonder what they're gonna say. Illegal entry. We was walking down Baker Street in the small hours. On the gaff's door was ajar, see? It was like some kind of sign begging for us to go in, it was. But once we got inside, core blimey lummy, we heard a gunshot from the back room. We went to see what was what, but the door was locked from the inside. We never done nothing, Governor. We never took nothing. We just left after that, nice and quiet. And what about Herlock Sholmes getting shot? You had nothing to do with that, right? A terrible coincidence, it would seem. At the precise moment these miscreants entered the property, an even more sinister crime was afoot. The witness's testimony is consistent with the crime scene in every detail. No, it's not. No, it's not. What about Herlock Sholmes getting shot? What about the bullet in the wall? What about that? That's not consistent. What are you talking about? The door providing access to the storeroom from the main shop was indeed locked from the inside, and within only the victim and the accused were found. I must say, it does appear to be an overwhelmingly simple case. Still, the defense may cross-examine the witnesses now, of course. Counsel, if you please. Counsel? Yes. What's the matter, Runo? Sorry, I was just stunned into silence for a minute by the blatant lies being told by the pair in the stand. I know that it's all nonsense because I saw it with my own eyes, so this is a very weird case. And this is so strange. I don't even know if this would be allowed in real life, because Ryu is not just a lawyer, but he's a witness also, because he was there. He saw what happened also, so it's weird. He could testify himself. I'll just have to expose their testimony for the pack of lies it is. Well, let's break apart this testimony right now, because I can't wait to squash these guys, because this is just nonsense right now. We was walking down Baker Street in the small hours and the gaff's door was ajar, see? Hold it! The front door of Windibank's was ajar, you say. What time of night was this? Must have been about 1, right, Ringo? Yeah, I'd say so, right, Sulky? How would I know? The place would have been shut at 1 in the morning, just like every other shop in town. Well, it was pitch black inside, it's true. Ain't that right, Ringo? I'm not so sure, Nash. I seem to remember a little light burning inside. What about you, Sulky, me old mucker? Leave me alone. There definitely was a small lamp burning inside. That's what alerted us to the situation in the first place. And when these gentlemen ventured into the open establishment, the accused, Miss Gina Lestrade, already had the muzzle of her gun trained on the unfortunate victim. That is pure conjecture. Perhaps, but it changes nothing. These brothers inadvertently wandered into the middle of a cold-blooded murder, simply because they found the door of the victim's establishment open and ventured inside. Right, that's what happened. There was 2 bullets fired in this shop. One hit Mr. Windibank and one was hit Mr. Holmes, or Sholmes. And so remember, Mr. Windibank only keeps 1 bullet in the gun, so there was a second gun involved in this case. It was like some kind of sign begging for us to go in, it was. Hold it! What are you trying to suggest? That you had to go in? Well, God moves in mysterious ways, they say, don't they, Ringo? God doesn't want you to break into a pawn shop in the middle of the night. They do, Nash, they do. Must have been some sort of providence, I reckon. God's will often presents itself on the whim of thieves, does it? If it weren't no whim, I'm dead sure of that. It weren't, Nash, it weren't. Like we said at the time. You don't just find doors open in the middle of the night like that. Nah, there's no 2 ways about it. It was a sign that our long-lost brother was inside. They're not very good liars, are they? Well, you can't deny it. It led us to a bloke what looks like our bruv. I said, cut it out. Those chips are getting a chomping today. But once we got inside, Cora blimey lummy, we heard a gunshot from the back room. Nonsense. Hold it! A gunshot, you say? Just a one, are you sure about that? Yup, just a one, Governor. I can swear to that. It was Nash, it was. Ain't that right, bruv? The firearm used belonging to the victim himself. Yes, Mr. Windibank always used to leave his gun lying around on the counter. Right, I remember. When we examined it, we found the revolver was completely out of rounds. That makes sense. Mr. Windibank always used to say he only ever kept a single bullet loaded. That's true. I remember him saying that as well. So we can't say with considerable certainty that only a single round was discharged from the firearm used as the murder weapon. Are you stupid, Judge? Now, I don't mean to insult the judge. Herlock Sholmes got shot as well. Like, why is everyone forgetting that all of a sudden? Yes, my lord, we can. And I should remind the court that the firearm in question was discovered in the hand of the accused. Wonderful. Okay, hang on. This is Mr. Windibank's gun. The cylinder is completely empty. Mr. Windibank always used to keep this gun on hand in the shop counter. Yes, but only ever with a single bullet loaded, I understand. That's right, to keep all the pawned articles that were in his care safe. But his one bullet was fired that night, and the poor man lost his life. Was he protecting his shop, I wonder? Trying to keep the articles safe? Details of victim, Pop Windibank, occupation pawnbroker on Baker Street, time of death 16th of April, 1 to 1:30 a.m. Reporting party, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, coroner, Dr. Stevens. Post-mortem findings, single bullet wound in upper half of victim's back, no other signs of trauma. Instant death from post-terrier bullet wound to the heart. A bullet entered his body from the back on a gently rising diagonal trajectory. What is this? There's a sensational story lower down the front page as well. Look. Ministry Mole. Classified secrets may have been leaked overseas for Ministry of Justice. For a 10-year-old, Iris certainly has her finger on the pulse of world news. It's about secret communication between Great Britain and its allies. Apparently, they're being intercepted by hostile nations. Communications are being intercepted. But how would somebody be doing that? That's the question, isn't it? I've come up with 3 different possible methods so far. Are you looking for a new career, Runo? No, of course not. I wonder. Perhaps this is what Lord Strongheart was talking about yesterday. Yes, it could be, and it could explain why he has Gregsy running from pillar to post at the moment. An article about government secrets being leaked to foreign agencies. We just updated that clue. Victim found deceased on the last scheduled omnibus on the day after a stab wound to the abdomen. Mason Milverton. Occupation brickmaker, domicile East End of London. Defendant Magnus McGilded, prosecution attorney Baron Barrick Van Ziex, defense attorney Ryunosuke. Conviction was asserted with 3 eyewitness testimonies. However, a surprise 4th witness testimony resulted in acquittal due to insufficient evidence. Do you mean the door between the main shop and the storeroom? If my learned friend is having difficulty grasping the situation, perhaps the drawing would help. Excluding the shop's entrance from the street, there is only one other door, that of the storeroom. Of course, there was only a little oil lamp burning, not much to see by. And the door was hidden behind a curtain and all. That's right. When we arrived, the door was mostly obscured by the curtain. Tell me, why exactly did you try to open that door? Eh? Any normal petty thief would run at the sound of a gunshot, I should think. Oh well, your turn to rabbit, Ringo. Well, Nash, yeah. I suppose you'd have to say we ain't normal, eh? Broadly speaking, humans respond in 1 or 2 ways on hearing a gunshot or scream. The timid flee, crippled by fear, while the courageous investigate to see if they might help. These gentlemen are of the latter inclination. My learned Timpany's friend, it would seem, is of the former. Are you saying they're courageous? Van Zieck, seriously? Alright, somehow I just proved that I was a coward that night. Thank you, counsels. So I believe we all understand that the door was locked and could not be opened. Proceed, witnesses. We never done nothing, Governor. We never took nothing. We just left after that, nice and quiet. No, you shot Herlock Sholmes. You didn't do or take anything. Is that your story? Well, it was a bedlam soon, weren't it? It was, Nash, it was. Didn't have time to pull me dukes out of me Lucy lockets. So no time to take your hands out of your pockets. You just left, nice and quietly, you say. That's right, Governor. Nothing we ate more than violence. Peace-loving nibblers we are, not bludgers. We are, Nash, we are. Never even pulled me dukes out of me Lucy lockets. So you'd clearly like us to believe. Eh? Come again? As you fled from the pawnbrokeries that night, did you not run into anyone else? And did you not fire a gun at that person? Exactly. Saints alive, they fired a gun, you say. We got him. It seems Barrick Van Ziex was unprepared for that. You ain't telling us it was you in the doorway. It was. Why the bleeding Nora? Didn't you mention that before? You were armed with a gun, and as you fled the scene, you fired that gun. At London's greatest detective, Herlock Sholmes. Exactly. They shot the great Mr. Sholmes. I did hear that, actually. There was a rumor he'd been rushed to the hospital. The great Sholmes, that's beyond the pale. On the night in question, this pair were arrested by the police within minutes of the discovery of the crime scene. Their suspicious countenance rapidly gave them away. Heh. And when searched, he's gonna say they had no gun. A firearm was indeed found in their possession. Oh, there we go. And why was this not submitted as evidence, huh? Furthermore, the barrel shows signs of a shot having been fired from it. The prosecution invites his lordship to examine the firearm recovered from these brothers. You know, why is this being introduced just now? Yes, indeed. The remnants of powder around the muzzle, as you say, counsel. The court will hold this weapon as evidence. A firearm found in the possession of the Skulkin brothers upon their arrest. There are signs that a single round was fired. Now, my learned Japanese friend. Yes? Here's to you successfully presenting the evidence. For yes, there are the telltale signs of a spent powder on this gun and a single bullet missing from the cylinder, but the prosecution demands evidence that it was fired at the scene of the crime under scrutiny in this trial. Well, that's the police's, job. Well, I don't need evidence, because I was there.
Objection.
However, the rest of us in this courtroom were not. If the defense fails to provide evidence in support of its rash claim, we shall have no choice but to toast your incompetence. Well, Iris is also a witness. Well, no, Iris wasn't there, right. Suzato would be a witness, but she's gone, and Herlock Sholmes is also another witness. Evidence that these two fired that gun before they left Windibanks that night. The court demands that all claims are affirmed with clear proof. What evidence shows that these witnesses unloaded a firearm in the pawnbrokery shop that night? It's gonna be the blood report. Right here, this.
Take that!
The evidence is in this portfolio. What? What on earth have you there, counsel? During the course of our investigation, we discovered a number of bloodstains. Not trusting the police to do the job they're trained to do. How arrogantly Nipponi's view. Well, the police didn't have that evidence at trial. So, like, why was that not brought in? Well, anyway, we analyzed all the blood samples we found and recorded the results in this portfolio. And you claim to have the evidence the court is demanding therein. Yes, my lord. No more dallying then, counsel. Present the pertinent evidence at once. What do you have in your portfolio that proves these witnesses unloaded a firearm at the scene? This one, this sample.
Take that!
What is that? Explain. It's a photographic print taken at Windibank's pawnbrokery on the day of the incident. From the scene of the crime, is it? There's the bullet. Is that a bullet hole? And if my eyes do not deceive me, it appears the bullet is still lodged there. Yes, as your lordship noticed. The bullet pierced Mr. Windibank's calendar. The date shown being the 16th of April, the very day of the pawnbroker's death. So you see, Ryu's doing really good right here. So, you know, these two witnesses are unreliable. Like, no court would actually have, no prosecution would actually bring these two in as witnesses because they were trying to burglarize the pawn shop, and at the same time they shot somebody. So they're not really credible witnesses. The incident occurred at 1 hour after midnight, but this indicates that a separate shot had been fired sometime after the calendar had been set to the 16th. That's right. And while it isn't irrefutable, the defense believes that it's credible evidence the witnesses did fire a round from their gun in the pawnbrokers last night. Order. How does the prosecution stand, Lord Van Ziex? Don't tell me he's going to try to dispute that they fired a gun. If that is the direction my learned friend wishes to take, the prosecution has no objection. What? But you'll forgive me for flinging my hallowed chalice aside in disgust at the repugnancy it exposes. What repugnancy? Yes, on the night in question, these brothers entered the pawnbrokery illegally. And like the bold baddies they claim to be, opened fire on the new arrivals before fleeing back onto the street. Hey? Take it easy there, Governor. You're gonna land us in the soup. We had a deal. You weren't gonna get into them details. Tell him, Sulky. Set the bloke straight. I have nothing to add. So he knew, did he? Yeah, it's no wonder. Van Ziex knew their testimony was certainly exposed the extent of their crimes. It would seem now that I owe my Lord Nipponese friend a word of gratitude. What do you mean? What I mean is that you have helpfully confirmed an important fact. To what fact do you refer, Lord Van Ziex? As has been established at the point of their arrest, a single shot has been fired from the brother's gun. However, if that shot found its target in Mr. Sholmes, then clearly these witnesses cannot be accused of the fatal shooting the proprietor and victim. Not necessarily. In other words, these two men have no material connection to the murder of Mr. Windibank at all. No. There's something more here. So that's it. That's it. We didn't have nothing to do with it. We didn't, Ash. We didn't. That's what I reckon. Your crimes include unlawful entry, intent to steal, perjury, and let us not forget attempted murder. Quite a catalog, eh, fellas? Ah. We're in for it now, bruv. Now then, let's take a moment to consider the aforementioned great detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. It would seem the man patronized the pawnbrokers in question somewhat regularly. Where's he going with this? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Mr. Sholmes appears to take pleasure in tinkering with eccentric machinery. Eccentric, says who? Not me, don't give me that look. He installed a pair of machines like this one in the victim's shop. Oh right, because those, every 30 minutes it takes a picture. That's one of Hurley's red-handed recorders. What is that, Counsel? It has the appearance of a photographic contraption. As your lordship has surmised, it is indeed a camera attached to a small timing device. Every half an hour, it automatically photographs the interior of the establishment. The idea being that if a thief were to break into the shop, he would be caught red-handed. The prosecution has obtained the photographs taken by the device on the night in question. 8:30? 9:30? As the court will observe, copious identical prints are produced in a quite desultory fashion. And let me guess, those prints are going to show that no one else entered the room beside Gina and Mr. Windibank. In fact, there are 2 such devices in the victim's shop, my lord. One at the door, and then one right near the near the vault. Yeah, so like we said. You say these cameras produce a print every half an hour. I'm afraid I failed to see how that would help if the anticipated thief conducted his activities in one of the many 30-minute intervals. One can only pray that the would-be criminal lingers, my lord. On the night in question, the witnesses currently in the stand were not caught on camera. Hehe, that's a bit o' Friar Tuck, eh, bruv? Lady Luck's love a Skulkin. Witnesses, at what time did your trespassing begin? Must have been just after 1. Right, bruv? Must have been, Nash. Must have been. Yeah. Just gone 1. In which case, minutes before these brothers entered the establishment. What scene might we expect to see within the shop? Let us examine the evidence. Good lord. Oh no, that doesn't look good. It's the defendant. Miss Gina Lestrade. That doesn't look good. That's really not good. As the court can clearly see. The accused is pictured, gun in hand, facing the victim over the shop counter. No doubt coercing the proprietor to open the door to his storeroom. Quite. One can only too easily imagine the events that unfolded. The court will take this photographic print as evidence. If you please, counsel. A photograph taken automatically by the red-handed recorder showing the scene a short time before the murder took place. We should probably ask Gina about that. Ugh. This is really not good right now. I don't believe it. Ginny. In short, the accused is the only person who could possibly have killed Mr. Windibank. I say, my lord. Wonder if I might put a word at this point. Go ahead, Mr. Foreman. Took a bally bullet to the knee in the Battle of Maiwand, 1880, don't you know? Decorated for it and all that, but forced to retire from service, sadly. Of course, a medal can never outshine the exploits of chaps like us on the battlefield. Yes, Mr. Foreman, and what exactly is your point? Carried on the battle of retirement, you see, the battle of daily life, if you like. And here I am now leading this small squadron, 6 men, all good and true. And we'll all go down together, you mark my words, one for all and all for one. How much more are you gonna drink, Van CX? The ladies and gentlemen of the jury have reached agreement, have they? Is that what we are to understand? Well, Mr. Foreman, is that correct? In a manner of speaking, yes. That is the Geradip squadron's position, sir. What? No, it's too soon to make a judgment here. Status report for the court, men, on the double. His lordship insists on promptitude at all times, and that goes for making decisions too. I think you'll find the truth is as clear as day now. I could reach out and touch it. I wouldn't have left it in there. I just wouldn't. But in all honesty, I can't actually remember. Situation clear, stop. No room for doubt, stop. Truth now undeniable, stop. I am very sorry for brothers. They are unlucky. Very well. I now call upon each member of the jury to state his or her leaning in this matter. Announce your considered verdicts to the court.
Guilty.
Guilty.
No.
Guilty.
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 Oh no. It doesn't did it indeed appear that the jury is unanimous in its leaning already. That photograph. It must be the definitive evidence that Gregson mentioned. But Ginny didn't shoot him. No, of course not. My lord, the defense wishes to assert its right to a summation examination. Very well. The court grants permission. So, you refuse to admit defeat again. How unsurprising. We shall proceed immediately with the Summonation Examination. Mr. Foreman, are all members of the jury ready? Abso-bally-lutly, sir. Always ready for action, my chaps. Very good. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will each explain on what grounds you have determined the defendant to be guilty. Judicial Findings. So this is where we actually have to try to contradict the jury's, pit the jurors against each other here. All the evidence clearly points the finger of guilt at this young pickpocket, Tien. As a housemaid, I should like to see all filthy eyesores promptly and rigorously eliminated. I think you'll find that if you look at that photograph in stereo, the truth will just pop out. If I have left in there, I should think there'll be repercussions by now. Mind made up, stop. Global radio transmission of verdict to follow, stop. In Motherland, we say never judge by clothes, just by head. I am convinced brothers are innocent. So that's the guy from Russia, that's the fugitive. The circumstances of the crime and the evidence do indeed implicate the defendant rather comprehensively. The storeroom locked from the inside, in which the victim and the accused were discovered alone. But why was she knocked on the floor, and the accused hand the fatal revolver, the firing of which was heard by these witnesses? Not to mention this print. Take it from a chap who's seen action on the battlefield. The young girl's on the verge of pulling the bally trigger. Thanks a lot, Mr. Sholmes. Oh dear, Hurley's cameras were supposed to help, not hinder. I'm afraid I think you have an uphill struggle ahead of you. Yeah, we got more than just a struggle. But Gina didn't shoot Mr. Windibank. Which means there's more to this situation than we've yet to see. Agreed. You have the floor, counsel. Proceed with the Summation Examination. Jury examination. Let's do this. All the evidence clearly points the finger of guilt at this young pickpocketing.
Hold it!
You're, Mr. Natsume's landlord, Mr. Geradip, aren't you? We must really stop meeting like this. Ah, you're the lawyer chap. Well, there's a turn up for the books. Yes, rather a turbulent time we had back then. Some extraordinary events took place at your house, that's for sure. Luckily, Mr. Sholmes and I were able to get to the bottom of it all. I think we did rather a lot for you, didn't we? I mean, obviously, I wouldn't be suggesting that therefore you should change your leaning to not guilty or anything. Can't be denied, I suppose. The curse of the Geradip house was the talk of the town after that business. Lodgers moved out, and I couldn't get a bodily soul to take up the tenancies. Oh. Haven't had the heart to break the news to Joni yet. Bad enough the old girl's clapped up. Yes, can't be denied. You did do rather a lot, but not for us, that's for dash certain. I suppose not. Of course, there can be no suggestion of that being the reason I'm leaning towards guilty here, obviously. Obviously, but honestly, I really wish he'd pay more attention to the trial and less to juror number 2.
Hold it!
Polishing the bench, I see. Again. A maid's work is never done. Not a blemish must remain. What exactly do you mean by filthy eyesores? On my way to the market for his lordship, I have to pass through the East End. The place is full of beggars, pick purses, and crossmen, the scum of the earth. A little harsh, perhaps. Let me be plain. If it were up to me, all those back slums would be made spick and span or eradicated. At least we have people like the great detective working to achieve these important goals. You're referring to Mr. Herlock Sholmes. That's right. I like to keep abreast of his exploits by reading Rand's magazine in between my duties. He does wonders cleaning up London streets. In my opinion, he should be declared an honorary maid of the capital. Mr. Sholmes, a maid. It's really quite unforgivable. Gutter scum having the audacity to shoot our very greatest detective. Minor detail. It was the two brothers in the stand who shot Mr. Shones, not the defendant. A minor detail indeed. They're all gutter scum as far as I'm concerned. Well, it just might be an idea to get our facts straight anyway. Yes, alright. I shall amend my statement.
Hold it!
What do you mean, look at the photograph in stereo? Oh, sorry, what? Don't you know? If you look at the photographic print normally, it looks as though the pickpocket girl is about to shoot the victim, obviously.
Objection!
But there's no indication the defendant ever fired the gun. All I'm saying is that if you look at the same print in stereo, it could reveal all sorts of new information. By any chance, are you a fan of stereoscopes? I think he is. Oh, how did you know? Let's call it a lucky guess. It never gets old seeing the two prints merge into one before your eyes. It's extraordinary, it's captivating, it's the height of modernity. Of course. Oh yes, I think you'll find that the stereoscope is here to stay. Giving us new perspectives we could only dream of before is the greatest invention the world has ever seen. If only it could give me a new perspective on this case, I might agree with you. If I have left in there, I should think that there'll be repercussions now.
Hold it!
What exactly have you been muttering about all this time, sir? You keep talking about having left something somewhere or something like that. Ah, sorry. So sorry. As you can probably tell, I'm a surgeon. A surgeon? That's totally passed me by. Of course, people conducting surgery in this country aren't considered to be doctors, oh no. Even though me and my kind are the forefront of medical science, the real brains in the field. So what is it that you think you've left behind? Ah, well, that's a little embarrassing to be honest. You see, I was operating on someone yesterday, standard thing, went in through the abdomen. But when I'd finished the procedure, I couldn't find my scalpel anywhere. What, did he? Surely not. Exactly, surely not, you say to yourself, don't you? Worrying, isn't it? That's what's been troubling me this whole time. Could I really have left my scalpel inside the fellow's belly? No, of course I couldn't. This guy started to scare me. So, there you have it. Like I said, a little embarrassing, really. That's one way of putting it, the other is manslaughter. That's exactly my concern, and seeing as this case appears to be all but sewn up, I need to focus on trying to remember exactly what I've sewn up elsewhere. Now, I'm sure I made sure everything was back as it should be. Well, as sure as you can be without being sure. I'm sure you need to be more sure.
Hold it!
Sorry, radio transmission? What do you mean? Are you from the Far East? Stop. Yes, from the Empire of Japan. All communication with Far Eastern nations used to take place by mail. Royal Mail stemmers take more than a month to complete the jury. But now we have the electronic telegram, so we can send messages using electronic signals. Thousands of miles of cables have been laid along the ocean beds, connecting the entire world. Thousands of miles of cable on the ocean bed. It makes my head hurt just thinking about it. You are well informed, young lady. Heh. But cables will soon become a thing of the past. Stop. And just when I was starting to catch up, radio transmission of future. Stop. Messages carried over airways to four corners of globe. Stop. Is that really true? Did they really have cables on the ocean like that back then? I'd have to research that a little bit. But I know they were able to send telegrams to other countries, but I don't know how they would do that. I don't know how a telegram... I don't know the mechanics of a telegram, that is. Right. Try not to wear out your fingers. Era of wireless telegraphy, stop. Driving technological revolution, stop. And people say inventions like the stereoscope are the height of technology. What other piffle? I can't understand it. I really can't. They're just silly toys. What do we got here?
Excuse me.
Juror number 3. Sorry to interrupt, when you're obviously fuming, but... What? Do you perhaps have something to say about juror number 5's last remark? As if I couldn't guess. Oh, you bet I do. Say that again, go on. I dare you. Goodness, are you talking to me? I think he just might be, yes. You think stereoscopes are just toys, do you, huh? Absolutely. I mean, really, a machine to view photographs in 3 dimensions. Why on earth would you just not use your eyes to look at the world around you? It's all 3-dimensional. What a great way to appease the man. No, I'm sorry. Stereoscopes are of no practical use at all. You just don't know. Pardon? I think you'll find that viewing a photograph through a stereoscope can unlock all sorts of possibilities. I'm obviously going to have to demonstrate. What sort of possibilities? Well, take a crime scene for example. If you had a pair of photographs from a crime scene that you could view through a stereoscope, it could reveal hidden clues you never even noticed before. What? Have you got any, Runo? Any prints we could look at with a stereoscope? Absolutely. How about this print here? It should do the trick, I think. Yeah, this one.
Take that!
Alright then, juror number 3. Are you saying you can do this with any 2 suitable photographic prints? Of course I can. Very well then, I'd like you to demonstrate. I'd be delighted to. Just give me one more print and I'll amaze you all. I don't know if this is gonna work.
Take that!
Wait, sorry? What do you mean, one more print? Oh dear, oh dear. Don't you have these in the Far East? Don't you know how a stereoscope works? Bruno, what? You need 2 photographs for a stereoscope, remember? The cat, right. You know, one for the left eye, one for the right eye. Oh, yes, I remember now. But the print we have from the pawnbroker is just a normal photograph. No. I think you'll find that the clue isn't in the name. It's a stereoscope, not a monoscope. You always need 2 prints. Thanks for the friendly explanation. Well, if we obtain another print at some point later in the trial, we can always show it to this young man then. Ha ha ha. I think you'll find that know-it-all expression is really starting to annoy me. Let's get things back on track, shall we, counsel? Let's press the last guy here also.
Hold it!
Please tell me you're not villain Bolshevik, the Russian revolutionary. Revolutionary, that's him. Da, I believe there is such a rumor. It's just a rumor. As you see, I have an unfortunate appearance. I look like the vicious criminal. Your words, not mine. Just want to point that out. People call me revolutionary, murderer, autocrat, and which glove fits. Good day, I am visiting London for sightseeing. I'd like to take bus to Crystal Tower, please. Right, that didn't sound staged at all. You'll forgive me for having my doubts. To be treated like vicious criminal all the time, it is very painful. People do not realize. So I have much sympathies for 3 brothers. People say they are criminals only because of how they look. The Skulkin brothers. Da, maybe they went inside pawnbroker shop. Da in Russian means yes, by the way. But they have done nothing wrong. That is all what I want to say. The Skulkin brothers did nothing wrong that night. Alright, well first of all, that's one not so little misunderstanding I'll need to clear up straight away. Tell me something, Iris. What is it, Runo? The jurors are chosen at random from the inhabitants of the London town, aren't they? Yes, it's amazing, isn't it? In that case, how is it that there's a Russian tourist sitting amongst them who looks for all the world like a revolutionary? I wish I knew. If I can't change the minds of more than half of these 6 jurors, the trial will be over. But we know that Ginny would never shoot anyone. Yes, so we need to find contradictions in what these jurors are saying and pit them against each other. Must be ready to go whatever lengths I have to convince them of Gina's innocence.
Hold it!
Can it really show up new clues, though? Don't know unless you try. How about this print here? Oh, let's see, this one here. Okay.
Take that!
Oh, I was wrong. I can't actually think of anything we could use at all. What? Really? Oh dear, I think maybe I need to have a stereoscopic look at your brain sometime. What's that supposed to mean? Huh. Okay, wait. I think we can show him...
Hold it!
Hang on.
Take that!
Alright then, juror number 3. Okay, let's see.
Take that!
No, we need another... You know what I think? I think we're probably gonna get another print later on in the case of like 30 minutes later or 30 minutes before, and we just compare those two prints. Okay, let's start pitting them against each other. Okay, hang on. Those brothers are the scum of the earth. They should swing for shooting the great detective. Now we pit her. In Motherland, we say never judge by clothes, just by head. I am convinced brothers are innocent. Now, okay, yes. We're gonna put this against a villain Bolshevik here.
Objection!
There we go. These two statements clearly contradict each other. Good lord. Counsel, explain yourself. Oh my statement? Contradictory. Contradict. Juror number 6. You've got the wrong end of the stick. I do not have stick, I have mouse. I don't think he understands it's an expression. As juror number 2 said earlier, when the Skulkin brothers fled the scene of the night in question, they fired a shot from their revolver. Yes, they shot poor Mr. Sholmes in the abdomen, I understand. Surely you're not going to tell the court now that you didn't hear. Abdomen. Sir? Sorry, my English is still learning. Well, you probably shouldn't be a juror here if your English isn't the greatest. You are telling the court you didn't hear? Forgive me, I did not hear. Here is word, abdomen, part of person's body containing stomach and other vital organs. If this is what you mean, you should say in plain English, I am Russian, not native speaker. Who thought it was a good idea to let this man be on the jury again? So, you are telling me these brothers who look like criminals were lying. They said before we never done nothing, but truth is they shot detective. Duh, this is double negative. Yes, that's exactly right. Lying is wrong, especially when lie is said by a person who looks like criminal. Coming from you, that seems surprisingly prejudiced. This means when they said we never took nothing, maybe it was also big fat lie. Is this true? Well, according to the police report, no stolen goods were found, so... Enough. I trust no one now. It's not the mouse's fault, though, sir. I must see with own eyes. I must investigate crime scene myself. I don't think you can. I'm afraid that won't be possible. Yes, it is, Runo. Easily. Sorry? With the prints from Hurley's red-handed recorder. Ah. If you compare the print that pictures Ginny and the next print from half an hour later, you'll be able to see straight away if anything was taken or not. Cooey, Mr. Prosecutor. Tut-tut. Calling on the prosecution in the middle of a summation examination of all times. The print showing the accused threatening the victim after she broke into the shop is this one. Where's the print from 30 minutes before or 30 minutes after? Following this, the victim and the accused moved into the storeroom. Meanwhile, the Skulkin brothers entered the shop and summarily heard the fatal gunshot ring out. Sadly, none of those events were captured on film. This is the print produced by the camera half an hour later, after the brothers' flight. So this was taken after Hurley was shot then. As far as I can tell, nothing has been taken. That does seem to be the case. I can't notice anything that's obviously missing in the second print. So, the brothers who look like criminals told only one lie. They shot men, but they stole nothing. It would seem so, yes. Good. No, not good. You were right. I did not understand situation. Now I know brothers have lied. I think it is very important to continue with trial. Yay! Well done, Runo. The balance is shifting. Well, it's a start, I suppose. But there must be more in what these jurors are saying that I can use to expose the truth. And if I can do that, we might just turn the situation to our favor still. Thank you, counsel. Continue with the Summonation Examination. And kindly hand that new photographic print to the bailiff to be filed as evidence. Photograph taken automatically by the red-handed recorder showing the piece after the murder, scene after the murder had taken place. Another print in the court record. I wonder if we can make use of that. It seems like that machine was moved, was it? It seems like everything was moved. Look at that. You can see the photo. That's really weird. Let's talk to that juror again about the,
Hold it!
Okay, we skipped this. We know this now. Okay.
Take that!
Okay, let's compare this photograph here.
Take that!
Alright, these two prints were both taken with the same camera and window banks on the night in question. Yes, I see. Tell me, Mr. Lawyer, do you know how stereographic images work? Do you understand the principle? Well, I think so. I did have a lesson only yesterday. The left and right eye images need to be the same, only with a slight shift in the positions of some objects. Then when your brain merges the two images together inside your head, it notices the shift as if it were deaf. Yes, exactly. It's that small shift between certain objects in the two pictures that's really important. So what happens if you use the two photographs that are exactly the same then? No, obviously that wouldn't work at all. Not for seeing the scene three-dimensionally anyway. Oh! Of course, now I see. Ah, I think the young girl has discovered the secret. I have. Can you uncross your eyes before you tell me? Have another look at these two pictures from Hurley's camera, Runo. Go on. Can you see that there's a really obvious difference between them? Of course there is. There are two people in the first and no people in the second. No, there's something else. Well, yes, you can see that straight away, but now, try looking at the pictures in 3 dimensions. Alright, I'll give it a go. So to start with, if you have to cross your eyes, and then try to make the 2 pictures overlap exactly. What's different, though? I'm looking at the 2 pictures right now. Let's see if by crossing my eyes I can make the quill pens from each picture overlap in the middle. Wait. Well, did you manage to see it properly, Runo? I wish we could go back. I'm just not very good at this, that's the trouble. Oh, don't worry, I have just a thing. It happened to bring this with me, a portable stereoscope. I know I mentioned this yesterday, but if you've had the contraption with you from the outset, you could have saved me staring at Mr. Windibank and Gina like I hate them all the time. And if you remember, I said in reply that it's much more satisfying to be able to see the effect of your own eyes. Anyway, why don't we try using this helpful little aid now? Yeah, let's try it. Here goes. Let's see if we can find it ourselves first. What is different between these 2 pictures? There's something different. It's the lamp. It's the lamp. Look at the lamp. Is the lamp shattered? It is the lamp. Now, let's see what we've got. Wait, look at that. Ah, what's going on with these 2 pictures? Some of the things in the counter store, they jump out at you. Yes, yes, yes. That's it, you see. That's the other amazing power of stereoscopes. Other amazing power? Is someone going to explain this? This black magic, eh? Why the deuce do some of the things in the counter seem to jump out like that? I think you'll find that if you consider the basic principle of the stereoscope, you'll answer your own question. Basic principles of the stereoscope. As I said before, if you try to look at the 2 identical pictures using a stereoscope, it won't work at all. If the slight shift in the positions of certain objects that lets you see pictures 3-dimensionally. In other words, even though at first glance, it seems the objects on the counter haven't moved at all between the 2 pictures. This shows that actually, there must have been a slight shift in their positions. Yes, there must have been. Now hold there, sir. Got a reasonable grasp of this whole cross-eyed business now, I'd say. But why the devil does this shift between the 2 prints exist in the first place? Well, what's the answer, fellow? Come on, you're the cross-eyed master. What? Me? I haven't had the first idea. You know, Runo, it's quite simple. It is? Just think it through step by step. The first photograph was taken at 1 AM. Then 30 minutes later. But the position of some items on the counter appears to have shifted slightly in the interim. So that means that sometime in the half-hour interval, someone must have tampered with things on the counter. Yeah. But why? Why would someone tamper with stuff on the counter, though? New information, stop. Not mentioned in testimony so far, stop. Yes. We've had to go around in circles a little here, it seems. But I'm starting to see what I should be aiming at in this summation examination now. Ladies and gentlemen, the question now is clear. We know the items on the countertop were moved, but by whom? Are you suggesting you might know? Of course. I can tell you right now who's responsible for the almost imperishable shift in the items on the counter. Who moved the stuff on the counter? I'll say these two guys, they had to have moved it.
Take that!
It was the witnesses currently in the stand, the Skulkin brothers. Is the only other person that could have moved it. This does not agree with what brothers said in testimony before. They said they did not even have time to pull dukes from Lucy Lockets. My phrasebook says dukes is meaning hands and Lucy Lockets is meaning pockets. But is this another lie? Man, I feel bad for the mouse right now. Looks like a revolutionary really doesn't like when people lie. Is that what you are saying? Yes, I'm afraid so. Now hold on there a minute, you can't be sure of that. I quite agree. The accused is a common pick purse after all. It's perfectly possible that she went through the things on the desk to see what she might steal. I think that's unlikely. And why exactly? As you can see from this photographic print, the defendant was pointing a gun at the victim. It would seem, as my learned friend indicated, that she was coercing Mr. Windibank to open the storeroom door. In other words, Miss Lestrade's interest lay within the storeroom, not in the main shop, giving her no reason to touch anything on the counter. All of which points to one thing. The Skulkin brothers have omitted key facts in their testimony. Yep, we got them. But the accused is a pick purse, common gutter trash. Why look any further for the wrongdoer here? Because the Skulkin brothers are thieves, madam. No better, in fact, worse than a pick purse. I believe that these brothers were looking for something on the victim's counter that night. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if you would condemn the defendant on the grounds that she's a pickpocket, would it not at least be right and proper to thoroughly scrutinize testimony given against her by two thieves? Exactly. They're unreliable. Well said. I, for one, would like to hear more from that shady pair. He just hit it with his forehead. Can you all see now? I think you'll find stereoscopes aren't playthings. You've seen their extraordinary potential firsthand. Yeah, we got it. Wholeheartedly agree, stop. Must purchase after trial, stop. Will return home via Regent Street. Stop. We got it, we're doing good. Well, it would seem that this trial is yet to run its course. The ladies and gentlemen of the jury declared their inclination via the mighty scales of justice. I hereby call this summation examination to conclusion, with the balance altered in the defendant's favor. 2 lean to guilty, 4 lean to not guilty. Accordingly, the jury is without consensus. And I order this trial to continue. Yay, well done. Oh, by the way. What? You should hold on to this, Runo. You never know when it might come in useful. Twice in one trial would be unusual, surely, but alright. A fold-up device that allows anybody to enjoy seeing things in 3-dimensional simply by looking through the eyepieces. Lord Van Ziex, you will instruct the witnesses that the court demands additional testimony from them. I'm sure it won't spoil the bouquet to do so, my lord. Well, he seems very sure of himself. I've won myself another chance to probe the pair about their activities that night at least. And I won't stop probing them until I've proven that Gina is innocent. Oh, I guess it ends off here. Well, this trial is getting kind of crazy, guys. But thank you guys for watching. I hope that you guys enjoyed that. We're going to continue with the next part as soon as I can. We're going to get to the bottom of this, and we're going to prove Gina's innocence. So let me know what you guys think of the case so far. What do you think of all that's going on? But thank you guys for watching. I guess I'll see you on the next one. Take care, everyone.